And we're recording. So hello, anybody and everybody who has come to listen all about this interview. Now, lots of other people wait until everybody hangs on, everybody turns up. Well, I don't do that. I like to start things to begin with. And that's what we're going to do. So for these interviews, I carry out these interviews for every 3 or 4 weeks here in my business page, Liberty Therapies. And I carry out live interviews. These chats are with those who are changing this world, changing our world. And they're changing it not just in their presence, but in the work that they do and how they teach that work and how they are passionate about teaching that work. So today's guest is Tania 𝐓𝐚𝐧𝐢𝐚. Now, Tania is an EFT, well, Tania's got a long list of stuff. I've actually written it down here because she's got so many. And I think we all need to know because I actually didn't know everything she did. But I know Tania as an EFT practitioner, emotional freedom technique or tapping. And I also know her as the founder of Mindfulness Based Inner RePatterning. Now, all of those we will hear about a little bit later. But did you know that Tania is also a hypnotherapist? She's also certified in TAT. Now, I didn't know about this, so I'm going to read it. It's Tappers Acupressure Technique. Now, all of these, and she's actually qualified in lots more. But when we come to talking about mindfulness based inner repatterning, you'll understand how this therapy works unbelievably well. But first of all, I'd like to introduce Tania. And I would like Tania to tell us, first of all about the bands. She tells us when I'm on these courses, oh, I didn't mention to her, Tania's my teacher. Aren't I lucky? Eh? Tania's my teacher in EFT and Mindfulness Based Inner RePatterning. So, Tania, tell us all about the beginning of your life in the bands and acrobats, which I've just heard. Didn't know that one.
Yeah, I think we all, and thank you, by the way, for inviting me on your show. I'm really happy about that. And it's a pleasure to be here. Yes, I mean, I have a very kind of interesting, I think, background because, you know, I actually went to university and got a chemistry degree. And as you do when you come out of university, I worked with a microbiologist for 1 year. And then after 1 year working as a microbiologist and realizing I didn't really kind of fit into that area so much,
Right.
I kind of one day just went off into show business and was there for 10 years.
That's a big difference.
Absolutely. And yeah, well, we formed our own type of speciality kind of dance act, which was very acrobatic. And we performed on like the BBC, etc., and did quite a few TV shows and toured internationally. And after we'd done that for quite a while, we thought, well, we kind of want to see where else we can go. We actually formed a band, a rock band. And
I love it.
And so I did that, and that was really great fun because, you know, you're getting up on stage, you're kind of doing this rock thing. I can't actually sing, you know.
Really? Oh, I'm gonna have to ask you one of the trainings and the meetings I'm down there. I'm going to say, Tania, can we have a rock song?
No, I cannot sing, but my business partner and sister could sing very well, and good songwriter as well. So I did all those interesting things, which I'm really happy for that I did, because it gives me a different kind of perspective in many ways. You know, I think once you've kind of lived your life that way, it gives you an interesting way to look at things, and it's been of great value to me in the career that I've gone down since I left show business. In fact, I think I'm still in show business because I'm a trainer. So, I mean, I do love performance. I love, you know, having training courses that are fun and a joy to be at. So, you know, I think all them different things you do all come together really in a real good way.
Yes, I would agree with you. Because when we do EFT, when you really get into it, then you are Well, for me, you are acting because you're feeling what this other person is feeling, and you're working with them. So if you have an affinity of different thinking, you think out the box.
Mm-hmm.
And acting, you think out the box because you are that persona. How
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, and I think where it comes in very useful in once you're able to think out of the box, or lateral thinking is very good for reframing when you do EFT and reframing, by using words to help people see a situation in a much more helpful way. And using that layer over EFT is very powerful.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So for anyone who's watching who doesn't know what EFT is and how it began, would you like to help to let everybody know what that is?
Well, EFT is emotional freedom techniques, which was developed by Gary Craig in America in the 1990s. And it's a form, they often call it a form of psychological acupressure in which there are no needles involved. What we do is we tune in to whatever problem the person has, the energy of that. We tap on various points on the body, mainly on the face and upper body, and just rebalance our energy system. And as a consequence of doing that, people have reported some amazing results. I'm thinking some really good ones. I mean, with physical problems, I've seen some pretty amazing stuff happen. You know, I know one of my trainees, an ice block had fallen down on her head. An ice block.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask how.
And it had knocked it to the floor. And that was 10 years before, at one of my training courses, she volunteered to come up to the front and to work on that. And you're thinking to yourself, well, she's had that problem for 10 years. Therefore, you know, you think, would it ever go? But it did. I mean, we did about 20 minutes tapping. And it's not full 20 minutes because I'm training at the same time and showing people. And using EFT tapping, using a specific approach called Chase the Pain, which is brilliant for physical and pain issues. And she got the range of movement back in her neck. And I tell you, she just looked stunned then after that, because it was a case of a lot of gratitude. She felt very intense positive emotion because I think she never thought she could get rid of it. So I've seen some pretty amazing things. That's only one story. I've seen this happen countless times. So that's with a physical problem. But that's when you're tapping on acupressure points and kind of working on the body's energy system. So it's a fantastic technique, and it gets some pretty amazing results. I talk about pain there, but we work with a lot of emotional things. They use EFT with post-traumatic stress disorder, with soldiers, etc. And, you know, they get results with that. So we work right across the board with many, many, many different issues with EFT, emotional freedom techniques. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've noticed in some of my practice, and I call it the eureka moment, when
Mm-hmm.
you're tapping away there, and then all of a sudden you'll see in your client's face just this, and you think, got it. And it's still, you have been practicing with energy a lot longer than I have. I've just come into it in the last 10, 15 years properly. But you are the longest established EFT training, aren't you?
Well, one of the longest, I would say. I started training people almost 20 years ago now. And that would be kind of, I suppose, the beginnings of people training a lot of people 20, 21, 22 years ago, I think, really. So, yeah, I'm one of the longest established. I've been training people for such a long time, training therapists and people who want to be therapists for such a long time. Yeah, a long time, which is great, really.
Oh, yes, because not only have you seen so many changes in the energy market, so many different ways, but we still we still go back to the original tapping because it works. But you mentioned Gary Craig. Now, Gary Craig, yes, is the founder of EFT in the form that we know it. But he also had a program, did he not, that you were one of them at the very beginning, and then he stopped it after a wee while. So there's only like what, 29 of you are.
Yeah, I think what you look at is EFT, is a simple technique, but there is an art and skill to using that technique. And what was happening is some people were thinking they knew how to use EFT when they didn't really have the experience. But the thing is, you don't always know what you don't know, which is an interesting thing, isn't it? And I think Gary Craig set up a program called the EFT Masters program to find experts in the field, so that he could literally say, they are experts using EFT and that they do use it. Because I think at the time, people were going to people to use EFT, and the people were not always using EFT with them. So he wanted people who literally did focus on techniques with their clients. So to even put yourself forward to be tested to see if you were an EFT master, which they're now called EFT Founding Masters, to put yourself forward, you had to have worked with, I'm not sure if it was either 1,000 or 500 people at that point in time. Wow. So, and I think that was about 2005 or 2006. I'd already worked with that number of people in my career using EFT. So, I've worked with an awful lot of people really over time, and I had a lot of fun doing that,
Yes.
So yeah, the master's program was an interesting thing because it wasn't a training program to teach you things. It was more testing whether you knew things, and which was good. A good testing's always useful, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, I'm very proud of the fact that you are a founding master and that you are my teacher as well. I just can't believe that I found somebody so qualified. And I mean, my first thought, because you work in Manchester.
Yes.
And when I had decided that I wanted to train in EFT, it took me a long time to find the right teacher. And then I can't remember how I learned about you. I just cannot remember. But anyhow, I did know, and I had this in the back of my mind. I must go to Tania, and eventually I did. And it was worth every single penny, every single moment. And I keep coming back. So let's go on to about mindfulness-based inner repatterning, because, oh, wow. This is something that you yourself, along with June?
Yeah, June.
Yes. So tell everybody about it, because I know about it, because I'm trained in it, and I love it. Love it.
Well, I love working and using therapy in a very simple way, because the mind, the body can heal itself, and all we really have to do is support it in doing that. So I think really the technique, I'm trained in many, many different techniques, and the technique came to me in that I wanted to minimalize what we were doing and to do the least amount of work that you could do in order to get the maximum amount of result. And it's with that kind of idea behind it. But one of the things we do in the mindfulness-based inner repatterning is we actually switch our systems from operating maybe in a bit of fight or flight stress response over to going into the repair and regeneration mode, simply by adjusting how we focus the eyes. And the thing is, it's very simple to do, but we're working in alignment with how the body functions, So, and that is ancient knowledge as well. So that the technique is kind of a combination of ancient knowledge, just brought together in a very simple A, B, C, D kind of pattern. And it's a nice technique to use, because I find as a personal therapist using it, I find it incredibly kind of relaxing for me, but equally it tends to be a gentle technique for the person you're working with. And the mind can work with a lot of different things in one go, and when you assist it, basically.
Yes, I like it specifically because, like you said, it's gentle, and it is. And for the practitioner who's working with the client, there isn't, I'm not saying there's not too much thinking, because there is, but because we ourselves, because we ask our client to look forward and slightly up, and you know, I tell everybody to have smiley eyes. I love my smiley eyes. I tell everybody to have smiley eyes because it takes you straight out of that fight or flight. But when you're a practitioner and you're working with a client, you feel that, oh my goodness, just that peace seems to come about the whole room. And because we don't need to know their problem or their issue at all, and they don't even really need to know about it, because their body already knows, don't they? The
Absolutely.
cells,
Absolutely. You know, so we don't need to know the ins and outs of a problem, simply because I know many people who do know everything about their problem from a logical perspective, but they still have their problem. So understanding your problem doesn't necessarily clear your problem. There's something else that needs to happen for you to no longer have that issue, really.
Yes. And it's inner repatterning because it is changing the chemical reactions, the thoughts, the emotions, and everything else. And calling it mindfulness as well is simply wonderful, because you just aren't you? You're homing in. You're in the now. You're there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So going back to EFT, you train, you teach, you have a practice with EFT and mindfulness based inner repatterning as well, of course. And it was really hard to pin you down for this night. Because you're all over the place.
I have been, yes, I've been everywhere. You know, I've just got back from training people over in Dublin this Monday. And on Tuesday, I think I was doing a webinar with some of my Norwegian students.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, I think I've done about 4 EFT practitioner trainings in about 6 weeks. So 2 of which have been abroad. So yeah, 2 in the UK. One of them is involved in a project that's going to go into schools.
Oh, wonderful.
You know, so you know, it's already it's a collaboration with someone who's already in that area, and you know, it's a very, very beautiful project. And so I've done 4 practitioner trainings in like 6 weeks, I think. So fairly intense. And
it is. It is. But you know, at the same time, you know, you have this beautiful, relaxed attitude in training. I mean, you have no notes or anything, because you see other teachers, without, you know, knocking other teachers, but I just love how you train us, because you know your subject. You don't need notes. You know what you're going to do. You allow to come out, whatever it is. And then, of course, we go around and we sort of do our own little bits together, but you're there with us. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I love the buzz, basically, because, you know, every training will be different, because people are bringing different things to the training course. And so if you're just very present as a trainer working with that, it's very powerful, because you work with whatever the people bring there. And, you know, and my job as a trainer is to help my trainees get results. So, yeah,
yes.
You know,
yes.
And so I get a lot of pleasure seeing some of the results these people who come on the training courses get, you know, and, you know, I think sometimes as well, because they're getting these amazing results, they don't really realize that, you know, maybe if a person was using a different technique, it would take an awful long time to get the result they're getting, sometimes within minutes, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen you. I've seen changes. I remember once with mindfulness based inner repatterning. I remember with that, it was like within 5 minutes.
Oh yes.
And you know, that problem that person had didn't come back. It was literally sorted, if that's the word to use.
Yeah, because when we're working with these energy techniques, we're working at the information layer, the database layer. The databases that our mind and body system is tuning into, that runs us. that controls our actions, you know. So we're working at that level and changing the databases, you know, that we've accumulated over time related to maybe some trauma that we've experienced or some belief system, etc. So we're working at quite a really nice, deep level and literally affecting the whole system in such a beautiful way.
Yes. You mentioned taking it into schools, and that reminded me of, if there's anybody watching who have children or a child or even a baby who they're finding has problems of their own, the child itself. Is there a way? Well, I know there is a way called surrogate tapping.
Mm-hmm.
But would you like to explain that to anybody who's watching, what they could do for their child or children?
I mean, I mean, depending upon the age of the child, of course, you know, because I do like to teach people to use it for themselves. So if the child's old enough to do that, that would be a great thing, because it's like, it's power, isn't it? If we can be the one who makes a difference for ourselves, that's power. When we feel empowered, when we know we can improve how we feel, whatever. So if they're old enough, I teach them how to do it properly for themselves. So they can tap on, you know, tune into their problem if they're feeling uncomfortable or, you know, whatever emotion that's going on for them that's not helping them. They can tap on the points and, you know, just rebalance their system. So, but if you're working with some very young children, what people often do is they tap on themselves for the other person. So it's like a surrogate form of tapping. And the first thing that they do in order to do that is to set an intention. So, you know, that you intend to use your body, your energy system for the other person. And then, you know, if you're doing that, you say, so there's two ways to word it, isn't there? One is, so even though you use the other person's name, has this problem, I accept they have that, or words similar to that. So you tap and do three setups on the karate chop point, if you're doing the formal version, and then you begin to tap on the points that the other person has. Equally, you can actually set an intention and you just tap, even though because you're using your system for them. So you can choose which way you want to do that. But either way, people have had some pretty tremendous results using your energy system, their energy system for someone else. But I think what they usually do as well at the beginning is actually set the intention that if it's right for the other person to receive it, they will receive it. And if it isn't, it will not happen, you know?
Yeah, it won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you gave a little practical demonstration there. Would you like to take us through a short demo on EFT so we can all follow you and everybody will have a more of an understanding of what it's all about?
Yeah, so the first thing you need to do is identify a problem that you have. For example, right now, you could have a very tight feeling in your chest, yeah? And there could be a thought attached to that, yeah? So you might think something and then have a feeling. So if we wanted to tune into that problem and work with that problem, first off, I'd want to set up a way to get feedback off of you. And so if you're working on yourself as well, so you think the thought and then feel it, and then give yourself an intensity rating from 0 to 10. How intense is this feeling right now when I think that thought? So it could be 3, 4, 5. Ideally, it's about 5, 6, whatever. Yeah. So you get an intensity reading so you can see your progress as you begin to work on that problem. And then what you do is you tap on the karate chop point and you literally, I'll do the default way of saying it. You say, even though I have this problem, yeah, I totally love and approve of myself. That's one way to say it. Or even though I have this problem, I totally and completely accept me anyway. So you do that 3 times, and then you go to the inner eyebrow and just say the words that represent this problem. Yeah. So if it was a feeling in your chest, you say this tight feeling in my chest. Yeah. And the side of the eye, say the words that represent the problem. Under the eye, just say the words that represent the problem. And under the nose, say the words that represent the problem. And the chin, again, you just repeat that because you're tuning in to this issue. Yeah. and then you tap on the collarbone. I like to use my fist on the collarbone because the point you're aiming for is about the size of a pinhead. And I don't believe in messing around with this.
Right.
Nice, gentle percussive tap in there, because it doesn't require force in order to shift the problem.
Right.
And then get your fingers together, go under your arms roughly 4 inches down from the armpit and tap there. Nice, gentle percussive tapping, and just say the words that represent the problem, just to keep you tuned into that. And once you do that, what you do is you then reevaluate the intensity of your issue. So if this was a tightness in the chest at the beginning, you just check how tight does it feel now when I think that same thought. Yeah. And then you keep doing that. You repeat the process until you get that ideally right down to 0. So that's just a very basic kind of overview of EFT there, but it's very, very powerful. I think a lot of people, when they look at the process, think it seems so simple. Why would that work? But my question would be, why wouldn't it work if it's simple?
Yes. Yes.
Who says things have to be complex? They don't, because the mind, the body works in a very, I know it's got levels of complexity, but it doesn't require complex things in order to get powerful results.
No, we just need to think one thought, and it happens because it's already out there in the energy universe. You know, we can't see it. A lot of people, some people can see it, but you know, I can't see the energy, which would be wonderful. So where are you taking EFT now? I mean, you've got your business there, you're going abroad. What plans have you got?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of in the process of totally streamlining my business at the moment, because once you run a business as long as I have done, you really need to pull it all together and tighten the technical side behind it. But with that all being in play, I've got a lot of places I'm going to. I'm going back to Bulgaria in December. I'm going over to Norway in November. I'm speaking at a conference in the next couple of weeks as well. So, and that will be really interesting as well. So I'm also doing my Manchester trainings with EFT and Mindfulness Based Inner RePatterning. So I've got a lot of different things on, and I think I scheduled right up to about March next year.
Whoa.
You know,
and it's not just you. You've got your husband, and you've got 2 beautiful, beautiful daughters.
Yes, now I do think that once you do something like this, you got to kind of have a balance in your life, haven't you? So tomorrow I'm off to Liverpool to kind of meet up with my 2 lovely daughters and my husband, and we're just having a lovely chilled out day. You know, so that'll be lovely.
It will be fabulous. I just mentioned earlier as well about how you met up with Brad, because I had a conversation with Brad as well, and he came to Edinburgh. Do you think you'll ever be coming up to Edinburgh?
I've been to Edinburgh many, many, many years ago when I was in show business.
Oh. Right, well, it's not changed. It's just the same. It's not, no.
It's beautiful then as well, I think, you know. But I don't know, I would be very interested. I love traveling. I love going to different places. I love meeting new people. It's all a buzz for me, that kind of thing. So who's to know where I will pop up next? You know.
And what about showbiz? Are you doing anything now? Are you out there with a band, you know, in the evenings at the local pub or somewhere?
No. No, I was very happy with what I did in that area. I was absolutely, totally happy with it. But I get a lot, you know, I'm running training courses, and to me, I get the same buzz off of running training courses, because, you know, you're thinking on your feet when you're running a training course. You're dealing with some really kind of interesting things, and it's a beautiful atmosphere to actually be meeting people who got this really a big need or who really want to help other people in life. So there's a really beautiful atmosphere at training courses. So I still feel I'm in show business because I'm still presenting.
Yes. Oh yes, you're up there. I mean, I've got videos of you up there doing stuff. So.
and you know that occasionally I give them a little bit of acting and I act out the stories, don't I? You know, I quite often, tell stories and metaphors, and I even occasionally act out the different roles just to keep it entertaining for people so they'll remember.
That's why I love your training. That's why I just love it to bits, and I learn so much from it. So your training, when is your next, if anybody wanted to come down and learn EFT and Mindfulness Based Inner RePatterning, when are the next?
The next Mindfulness Based Inner RePatterning, I think, is on the 18th and 19th of October in Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
And the next EFT practitioner training is on the 8th to the 10th of November, also in Manchester.
Pretty busy months, because I know you've got a mentoring day, which I'm hoping to get to, but my daughter's expecting a baby any day from the 16th of October. So I'm sort of just holding on and waiting to see to get down. So you're pretty busy all those weeks and weekends, aren't you?
I am fairly busy, but once it gets to after I do the Bulgaria training in December, then I'll probably take about 3 weeks solid off.
Oh, big deal.
Completely. It's not enough, eh? I do like to schedule, generally, most of the time I schedule alternative months. But then again, I'm working at my clinic and at the background of the business. So yeah, I do that. And I also absolutely make time for family and stuff like that, which is very important to me.
Mm-hmm. So on a final note there, I mean, you're busy there, but because you love your work and because you're working with energy, you can do it. It's possible.
Well, absolutely.
Oh, so I'm just looking here. There's no questions, but Lorna says that she's loving our interview. I don't think Lorna's up from this away. In fact, Lorna was looking for someone for as not mentoring, supervision. So I recommended the guy that you recommended, but I know that Lorna wants to go and do the third as well, so she might be down with you. So she says, she loves she loves EFT. It's one of her favorite, and looking forward to coming to Manchester soon to do the advanced course with you. So you see, I knew that even before I read her message.
That'll be lovely. Looking forward to that. So.
Yeah, Lorna's a beautiful, beautiful lady. I've known her for a wee while. So, Tania, thank you so much for coming along, and I've learned a little bit more about you, which is just wonderful. Yes. So if anybody wants to know any more about EFT, whether it's to sign up for one of the courses, and I think you've realized by now that I would be the first to recommend Tania. If you want to sign up, if you want to know a little bit more about EFT and certainly Mindfulness Based Inner RePatterning, because it's so new, isn't it, Tania?
Yes.
And Tania, it's one of Tania's babies. She told me that, and it's understandable. And it is. I mean, I'd recommend. It's just wonderful. So if anybody would like to experience any of these, EFT or Mindfulness Based Inner RePatterning, then I know Tania would welcome, some inquiries, and I would as well, being qualified, and just want to get it out there. So, Tania, do you have any last words?
Well, if they are interested in finding out more about the training courses, they can visit my website, which is www.taniaprince.com. But my last words, I think, would be as well, you know, that these are very powerful techniques, and I think they can totally transform lives. So, you know, I would suggest everyone really gets out there and learns how to do these things, because, you know, I've seen so many amazing results, even when people have thought that they couldn't do anything about what they're experiencing in life. I've seen some massive shifts. So, you know, just that my recommendation would just be go out and have a go and try it.
Even if it's just for yourself.
Absolutely, just for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for coming along and watching the replay. I'm going to stop our live stream in the Liberty Therapy group page. I'm too busy doing groups. But Tanya and I are going to hang around here for a little while longer and have a wee chat. But in the meantime, as we've said, any questions, anything you want to know, put them into the comments. I'll put all of Tanya's links in the comments box and stuff. I wasn't organized enough to already do it beforehand. I'm learning. All right. We'll catch you later, everybody. Bye for now. Bye. Right. I have stopped the